Hi, I'm Franz with concrete5, and this screencast is going to be one of a series explaining how we would chop different designs into concrete5. You can really build any kind of site you want with concrete5. A lot of content management systems started as a blog or started as a news site or one particular type of site, and so they tend to have a form factor that is pretty obvious if you know what you're looking for. Concrete5 was really built as a toolbox when we were a full-service agency. We were doing a lot of work for other design firms in town. We were working for big brands, types of clients who are kind of conscious of every pixel and really want an attractive experience that grows well with them over time. So we built concrete5 as a set of tools that we could use to build these top-tier sites and still give our clients control over content when they couldn't get a hold of us. All of the screenshots that are going by are sites that are built with concrete5. And you can see just at a glance, they all look completely different. There's no similar form factor between them. You can't just look at them and say, oh, I see, they turned off some nav elements and they're all the same. You're really supposed to start with your design process, whatever that process might be, and then worry about how to concretize your template. So we're going to put a few of these screencasts together just to kind of chat about different ways that you can solve problems. The thing, like with many things in life, there's no perfect way to solve these problems. There's always a bit of a give and take. And I guess one thing that we've seen that is important to point out is it's important to not have too many block areas or blocks on a page with concrete5. I'm assuming that you already have played with concrete5 a little bit and you know what a block and a block area is. It's a really powerful tool, but if you start to have dozens of block areas and many hundreds of blocks on a page, you're asking the database to serve up a lot of content, do a lot of queries. And with the most recent version of concrete5, there's full page caching, which definitely speeds that up, but you're still creating a lot of load that you might not need to. So you know, the performance concerns coupled with what is actually going to be edited can often drive how you look at concretizing a template. So what we're going to do actually is look at Basecamp HQ, just because it's a very well designed site and it's the kind of thing that we think would work well with concrete5 versus some other tools. So looking at Basecamp HQ, there's a lot of different page types in here, and this home one is pretty simple. What we would actually do is just make one wide block area and use the built-in layouts tool to chop it up as needed. We would also look at just embedding HTML using the HTML block for a lot of these content elements. For example, this big block up towards the top with the See Plans and Pricing button and the title, that's not going to change very often. You could even build that into the template and your client's going to be fine. They're not going to change this tagline without a lot of review. It's going to happen once a year if ever. It might make sense to make this something that is its own block that you could edit. But even there, I might wrap the block in styles using the template as opposed to just sticking a content block in there and hoping that people don't mess it up. These four areas in the middle offer a good opportunity to perhaps chop that block area into 4 columns in your template. But you might also look at this and say, well, hey, it's possible to change this. Maybe they'll have they'll want a different form factor in there. They'll have like a wide video, and so they'll have to combine these 2 on the left into 1. And if you use the built-in layouts tool, you could chop your single column block area into 4 columns and deal with these 4 blocks just fine. And that gives you flexibility. That way, if you don't hard code those columns into your template, you could, for example, move these logos up a level. So they could actually be up here instead of down here, and you could just do that by dragging and dropping blocks around. So really this whole page you could deal with one wide area. Even these pictures here with the overlay, you could use the layouts tool to divide the main column into 4, and then use the image block with a custom template to do the overlay trick. The home page, pretty simple, same deal as we scroll down. This footer I would definitely treat as part of the template. I might make this content editable, but I would always run it from the page defaults area, where you can change stuff centrally through the dashboard, and it'll update across the whole site. This tour page is a little trickier. you've got this side nav here that's always going to be there. You've got this main paragraph, and then this staggered back and forth approach. It's pretty easy to build this staggered back and forth by using the layouts tool inside of a wide block area, and that lets you kind of move this center line to where it needs to be, like bumps it over here versus over there. The trickiest part about this page is the Ajax. If you click next, it actually slides the content over without ever leaving the page you're on. So that's a pretty custom problem. For something like that, we would have to debate, do you kind of treat each page as its own page underneath the tour area and then build a custom single page that grabs this stuff and pulls it up? That might be how we would do it, just because there's a lot of these tour pages. So from if you were to look at the sitemap on something like this, you would actually see a page for each one of these, but we would build some custom functionality into the tour page to aggregate that data up. This Who Uses Basecamp page has an awful lot of content. As you scroll down, there are so many of these little testimonials that this could easily go awry. And this is one of those cases where there's probably no perfect way to deal with it, but there's some upsides and downsides to the different approaches we can think of. You know, the most obvious way is, well, you just chop this into one big area, you use the layouts tool, and every one of these guys is its own block or just its own rich text with the content block inside of its own block area that you've done with the layouts. Challenge with that is you're going to end up with 100 or more block areas, and that's definitely going to make this page slow. So you'll have to have full page caching on, and you know, it's just going to be a beast to edit. So one thing that we might do on something like this is actually build a custom block type. Do something like call it 3 testimonial row, and if you were to put that block in edit mode, you'd be able to upload an image for this map and photo, give it a title, a subtitle with a link, and a paragraph, and you know, that would represent one of these sets. And in that same block, you'd actually be able to add 3 of them. And what that block then would do is render all 3 of them next to each other, make sure that the baseline was the same, so you didn't have a staggered layout vertically. And that would give you the benefit of being able to just treat this as a single stack of blocks. So this whole thing is one block, this whole thing is one block, this whole thing is one block, and then you can treat this as a rich content area or its own block as well. That lets you get away with this page having just one big block area and, you know, whatever this is, a dozen or 2 blocks, which is far fewer database calls. It also gives you a lot more control as a designer. You get your production guys to build that block so it always looks right, and you won't have your client messing things up by getting a style wrong on one of these little header sections. This extras and add-ons page, pretty simple at a glance. I might make this its own column because it is always going to be there. It never really stretches over, so I might fix this as part of the template to have a block area here. It's also pretty likely that over time they'll want to add more things here. I can easily see some marketing manager wanting to add a did you also know kind of deal to the side. So making this part of the template gives you some flexibility to add stuff. This guy's pretty easy to build. I might just build this in a table. Yes, I said table. I don't think this necessarily has to be divs. If you look, especially as you start scrolling down here, treating each one of these as its own blocks, block is definitely going to make a lot of database calls. Chopping this into areas using the layouts tool is going to create a whole lot of layout areas on your page, and again, a lot of database calls. And you know, just to be honest, like alignment like this works with tables great. So while I'm sure the standards folks are turning over right now, I just got to point out that this is built with tables. So you could easily just stick a table inside of a content block and let people build this just using the built-in content block. You could also build a custom block, much like we would on that testimonials page, where you could pick an image, give it a title, a link, and a paragraph, and it would spit these out just automatically. So this whole thing, you know, this whole section would be one block where you could add all of them. So that just gives you kind of a quick sense as to how we think about these problems. We'll try to put a couple more slides up here and just different ways you can chop them. And certainly if this is the kind of conversation that would be useful to you on your project, we're happy to offer you some consulting time to kind of take you through the ups and the downs and the different ways that your approach might help you or hurt you over time.